Hello, I'm Sister Elise Forst, and as I reflect on my vocation story, I'm mostly filled with gratitude that God has led me to where I am today. As I made choices along the way, I wasn't always clear about the reasons for my choices, and I didn't usually experience any surety that each choice was the right one. I was born on May 28, 1943, in my grandmother's house in Prairie View, Arkansas. My dad was in the Army stationed in North Little Rock, Arkansas. Shortly after my birth, Mom and I rejoined Dad in an apartment near the base in North Little Rock. And when I was 2 years old, Dad was released from the Army. So we and my baby brother, who was born while we were in North Little Rock, moved into the little house that Dad had built earlier on a small farm near Subiaco, Arkansas. Dad farmed and worked in nearby coal mines. I attended elementary school in Subiaco, where Benedictine sisters from St. Scholastica's taught. I always loved the sisters, and over the years decided that I wanted to be like them. Sister Vivian, my teacher in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade, who is still here today, was especially influential. When I was in the 8th grade, the sisters told us about the aspirancy program at St. Scholastica's. High school girls who were interested in possibly becoming sisters lived together and attended classes at St. Scholastica Academy. They attended Mass each day and prayed some of the hours of the Divine Office with the sisters. I decided to become an aspirant, and a good friend of mine in the 8th grade class also came. These 3 years as an aspirant were good years for me, but I really missed being at home with my parents and 7 brothers and sisters, all younger than I was. My youngest brother was born when I was a junior in high school, and my youngest sister was born about 4 years after I entered the community. As aspirants, we went home during the summer and for holiday breaks. I always looked forward to those times at home. I have a wonderful family, and they have always been supportive of me. The aspirancy program went through the junior year of high school. When we were seniors, we had to decide whether to enter the community as a candidate or not, and I decided to enter. There were 12 of us who entered the community in the fall of 1960. 5 of us had been aspirants. The other 7 had already graduated from high school. The 5 of us who were still seniors took some classes in the academy, enough to graduate in May 1961. As candidates, we lived in the novitiate in the monastery. We took classes in the novitiate and worked in various areas of the monastery. I really liked living, praying, studying, working, and playing with the other candidates and novices. But not going home was difficult. At that time, we only went home every 3 years. After the year as a candidate, I was a novice for 2 years, then made temporary profession and was sent to Stuttgart, Arkansas, to teach 3rd, 4th, and 5th grades. After 2 years in Stuttgart, I taught 5th and 6th grades in Paris, Arkansas. During these years, we took college courses during the summers. These were the years of the Second Vatican Council, exciting years in the Church, years of many changes in society, in the Church, and in religious communities. As happens with most change, there were varying reactions to the changes. For some, change was happening too fast, for others too slow. One of the many changes in community was changing the habits we wore. The first change was in 1965, when we quit wearing the pleated coif that covered our head and neck with only our faces showing. I had worn the coif for 4 years and was glad to be free of pleating it and wearing it. Another change in community was the decision to send sisters who didn't yet have their college degrees to school full-time. I attended a community college in Fort Smith for 1 year, then was sent to Lincoln University in Jefferson City, Missouri for 2 years. During these late 60s, many sisters were leaving the community. In 1968, my time of temporary profession was ending, and I had to decide whether to leave, like many others were doing, or to make final profession. That was a difficult decision to make. Of the 12 who had entered with me in 1960, only 4 of us decided to continue on in the community. For me, it just felt that St. Scholastica's where I was called to be. After my bachelor's degree, I taught 2 more years, then got my master's in school psychology. I then worked as an educational examiner for a few years. The 70s and 80s were turbulent years, with many sisters continuing to leave the community. Out of those years of change and uncertainty, the community, along with other Benedictine communities, began recovering its monastic heritage. We had always lived a monastic life, but had made it fit with a busy apostolic life of teaching or nursing. In reclaiming our monastic charism, we put more emphasis on the monastic values of common life, prayer together, silence, holy reading, and hospitality. These values resonated strongly with me. Even as the other three who had made final profession with me left the community, I knew I was where I was meant to be. Beginning in the early '80s, I was assigned to work within the community. I served as a member of a renewal team for our community, as sub-prioress, formation director, prioress, and now development director. I am grateful I am where I am. I thank God for all the experiences that have led me here, even though I often didn't understand the full meaning of them at the time. I feel sure there are young women today who would find this life rewarding and meaningful. I really encourage anyone who occasionally feels drawn to religious life or monastic life to come visit, stay a few days, and just see what your heart tells you. Thank you.